Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, at least I know I'm the shortest person.
Okay, roll call. Let that reflect that we are missing Carolyn Netto and Kim Senkow tonight. All else present. Next is approval of the consent agenda, which was provided in your packet. Everybody could review or move to approve.
I move to approve the consent agenda for tonight's meeting.
Thank you.
Support.
And we have support. Any questions, errors, omissions? Anybody catch anything? Hearing none, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that carries. Time for public comments. Clayton, anything today? No. Nothing? Okay. Committee reports. Finance Committee.
Just got out of Finance Committee. We reviewed some of the budget amendment numbers, which Mark will be presenting a little later in this meeting, as well as some new cafeteria tables, which we hopefully will be approving later in the packet. You'll see that, and that's coming out of the food service budget. We reviewed AP, general fund, sinking fund, capital improvements bond, capital improvements, and the bond spending right now is a little bit in a lull just because we're starting to ramp up from the end of the year last year into, I think, next month. We'll start to see a little more action on that. So all looks good, and yeah, that's my report.
Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions? Okay, Academic Affairs Committee.
Academic Affairs met and we got some update on policies that are going to be updated to bring our policies more in line with MHSAA, especially with the middle school and just holding our student athletes to high academic standards. And so just that language got a little bit cleared up. We got an update from John Allen on the elementary special education program. You'll remember that we approved the hiring of Jill Metz, an additional special education teacher who is running an intensive resource room, and that has really been a positive impact on the rest of the staff and students especially. So those are the big things. We also talked about potential changes to the calendar for next year and early release versus half day or full day PD. So lots of more fun things to come there.
Okay, thank you very much. Next is Personnel Committee. Am I the only one there?
Yeah, it was,
okay.
It was basically
there were others there, but they're not here tonight.
Superintendent contract and
yep.
evaluation process. Basically.
Yep, that's both of which are in our agenda for later on, but with regard to the superintendent contract, no real changes, but we are reformatting and getting it into the new ORS, or Office of Retirement Services, regulations to comply with what they want to see. So, and then the superintendent evaluation, we just want to take some action on that to officially define how that's going to work going forward with the new state laws and regulations. And we even talked about there's some pushback at the state level, and that might change at some point in the future. So that was that meeting. Did I cover everything? And no student representative tonight, huh?
We tried,
It's hard to
Jen
get-
tried.
I get it.
It's really hard to get kids, their kids are involved in all the things,
Yep,
which is a good thing.
that is. But we still love hearing
Yeah.
from them, so
I
let's keep
know.
trying.
We'll keep trying.
Okay, we'll move on to new business. Item 647, approval of the cafeteria table purchase. Mark or Kurt, you wanna give the,
Sure, in your packet, you've got the, after bid process, the recommendation for the tables. Finance committee talked about them, right before this meeting, as Ben said. And they will be, logoed tables with Norse heads, kind of matching with the theme of where we're going, with things in the cafeteria, so pretty sharp looking, and, those are paid for with, food service funds.
I move to purchase, to approve the purchase of the new cafeteria tables with the logo of the Norseman head
Support.
as presented.
okay, motion and seconded, any questions? Hearing none, I'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, that carries. Item 648, what we're all looking forward to, the budget amendment, and Mark has a presentation for us.
Give me a clicker and some time. So I am just talking about general fund today. You guys have a resolution for the special revenues. I'm just going to focus all my time on the general fund. Perfect. So, the general fund revenue, as we talked, here's the original budget that you guys passed. Here's what's in the proposed amended. We're going to add about $413,000 of revenue. It's ironic when I put search piggy bank, this is what actually popped up, which I don't think we really want to know. Sorry. We really don't want to know about the mask of 2020. As you can kind of see, so we're at $12.9 million, which even when I started in 2020, it was a lot more than what we had. It's almost $1 million less than what we actually had in the FY24 when you audited. That's a 7% reduction. So, yeah. See, the COVID piggy bank is gone. So changes in revenue to kind of make up that updated property values. So again, we increased $79,000 in property values. So that's what the state's thinking we're going to get from the town or the city. However, that's a $79,000 reduction in pupil accounting, right? So that's what Prop A kind of really runs into. Interest revenue, Jess and Chrissy are doing a great job. So $40,000 more in the general fund for interest. Act 18, I'm guessing with some of the new changes in the Act 18, it's the special ed millage from the ISD. It brings in like $16 million, but the formula is 70% special ed, excess cost 30%, and then the other 30% is based on enrollment. My guess is we're actually going to lose money because our excess cost for special ed is increasing at a lesser rate than other districts, which is a good thing, but you're going to get less reimbursement based on the countywide formula. And then all the federal and state grants to match their expenses. So we got Title IV, which that's where Sue and Julie are coming up, which 31N, 23G, 97J, 35J. There's a 35M coming out. So like it's like that math problem that no one really understands. At some point we got to understand it, and this is kind of it. It all melds together. Jess and I think we have it all right, but throughout the year we might have to move expenses one way or the other. State revenue, this is kind of the big, so our pupil accounting was 18.32 kids less. Yes, we chopped a kid in a third somehow. I say the good news with this is they have a category called stabilization. So by us decreasing our count, we get some money back in a stabilization. So we got $69,000. Now we lost $319,000, but of that we got $69,000 back. So it's better than a stick in the eye. Special ed, so they keep updating the formulas. Also, we spent more last year, which is a law. We have maintenance of equity, maintenance of effort. You always got to spend more dollars the previous year than the previous. So 51C, we got about $48,000. That includes a prior year adjustment. I did not expect them to bring back 22L, which is a transportation reimbursement. So we get an offset $28,000 of transportation. The difference is normally you get reimbursed every year for special ed transportation, which we don't have. It's a dedicated special ed transportation bus. So we can move $28,000 of regular ed transportation, but now they're starting to reimburse us on the regular ed. So last year when we did it, we bought vehicles from them, right? So that's stuff that we don't get reimbursed. So we're trying to figure out what's the best way to allocate it at a grant where it doesn't hurt us in the reimbursement down the road. And then the fund ORS, which is the pension reimbursement changes. So when I started, there was none of these 147s, and now there's, they're an F, but I know some of these got canceled already. So 147A 1 and 2 remain stable. Those are offsets of the 20% reimbursement for that. 147A is a new one, so we're going to gain $338,000. They say it's a ORS offset. I put a question mark. It doesn't really look like a question mark, but it's supposed to be a question mark because the state couldn't get their poop in a group, so they decided, you know what, we're going to give you a revenue, and then next year we're going to reduce the expense and the revenue because, you know, it's just easier. Bean counters just love to make it complicated, but in reality, that 5.75% and what we're getting in revenue doesn't equate to the reduction of how much if we really took it just right off of our pension rate. 147C, that's the offset to the DC component of the pension plus PHF employees. It's paid quarterly. That's remaining stable. But 147F, which is the DC component of the, well, I don't even know, DC component of the DC employees, PHF, no, the premium subsidy employees, that got eliminated. So it's like, I'd say let's use, I was trying to find a parking lot in the winter, but that just makes it too logical. It's like this. People just park wherever they want to. Or S6 still six the same. No, we'll just put it everywhere. You guys will figure it out, right? And it's very easy to explain. Glad, see, look at that. Here, I got Kurt to laugh. Ooh. Uh-oh. General fund expenses. So we're going to increase $555,000. Part of that, $200,000 of that is the Title IV employees that we have for 2 years for grants. So some of it is misleading in terms of it's just the budget. How I will say this. So if you remember back in the revenue, we decreased by $900,000. Our expenses didn't. What that does show is we did really spend well on the COVID. We didn't add long-term costs. It's just some of this is because if you look at the salary, $169,000 benefits. A lot of that is those Title IV employees, and then just the non-payroll. They're just normal expenses. Here's kind of a difference. So the purple is everything not salary and benefits wise. So 20% is non-people is what I put. So the other 80% is people, which is normal. 75 to 80% if you get a little there. And then you take all that 20%, then next, like I kind of broke it down how the buckets that I look at, right? The big bucket that's not people or operation, which doesn't shock you. Cleaning services, contracted services, fixing the HVACs, fixing all of that other stuff. And then you have the other one, big state grant, 3%. That's never been that big for North Muskegon. The big difference is John Allen got a grant. One of the state grants is 35J. It's curriculum improvement expenses, so textbooks for reading. So that's over $100,000 of a grant that we were going to have to do at some point. We got hopefully for free, and we're going to be able to have our staff trained in that, and it's all covered. So once that grant falls off, that number will shrink, and obviously these other numbers will grow. So it's just kind of a way to look at it. Just remember, when we talk about what's going to happen next, 80% of most school budgets are people or insurance. See, so if you really think, oh, that $12 million, only $2.7 million is non-people. So, like, if there are, when Kurt and I, when there's like, we could save 15,000 here. Yep. When you're talking bigger numbers, you can only cut so much of this, right? Unless you want to cut cleaning services for a big number. If you want to cut like some of the other things. Changes in expense. Whoa. Staffing, staffing is all updated. The NVME contract got approved. Last one, only steps and a $400 off schedule for employees that did not receive a financial increase. Increase in health insurance costs. There's more to come about that. Grant spending is kind of what I alluded to. athletic non-revenue. So again, I always chuckle when we get really good at athletics, we spend more, right? Because travel. Normal annual budget changes. We have over 2,000 accounts and expenses. You just update them throughout. Overview. So again, kind of starting. So the difference between our starting balance and the original, we came in better based on our audit. Right. So our audit was a $500,000 increase. Our ending fund balance, even with that, we're still at that 11.79. So when I started, when we kind of talked about this roller coaster, we're a little over 10 to 11%. We always said we're going to ride this roller coaster. If we, at one point we don't fall off of it, like that one joke that I made that Steve did not think was funny. But we're still at this 11.79 as a snapshot of right now. We still have 6 months left in the year. You never know, a supplemental budget can be coming. And now kind of some other stuff I always like to throw in. This is more analytical. Here's our enrollment. Enrollment's always a driver. So as you can see, we're at 944. I take out the White Lake Community Ed and the, I leave the White Lake Community Ed. I take the New Era Christian shared service. So I kind of put that in there. I try to, like, this is what I think Kurt, like the 950, you shall not pass. Like, you got to keep above the 950. Like, Kurt, that's what I kind of picture. Like,
That's what you see me as.
yeah, it's just like, you shall not pass. Like, you shall not pass under 950. Keep it at 950,
I don't know
right?
if I could grow a beard like that.
I think we should try. I think we should try. Okay, why is there's a all right. So here's another kind of what I took was our highest for our high school. Average class size in high school is 76 kids. So in the next 4 years, we're gonna have those fall off. And if I take DK is kind of what I just, because they just double up into it. K1, 2, and 3, the average is almost 60. So there's just the nature of how we go. There's 16 kid loss every year for the next 4 years. So again, it's just the enrollment driver, which by this, we all know to keep it, school choice becomes more important. So as you see, so the green, we stopped using Munetrics, which I could always get the losses, right? I didn't have time to, there's another place you can get it, I just didn't have. So the green kind of stopped where I have it. As you can see, we're normally around 90 kid loss in school choice. As you can see, the yellow is all the gains. So Christy pulled some stuff. So this year we're at 465 FTE-wise of gains. And like I told the finance, we just hit over 50% of our K-12 kids are school choice, which 10 years ago we were at 36%. So again, it just shows that school choice, when our catchment, I think that's the next slide actually, yeah, look at that. Again, so this is actually a document that I had back in 2023. It really kind of shows the catchment area. I don't know why that resident number in 2023, but that number is 610, I believe. That's how many kids that are counted by a K-12 public entity. So if you're homeschooled and you're not counted, we don't have any data on that, right? So if, as long as they're going to some sort of school that is funded by the state, we show a gain or a loss, right? So if you know how many are, right? So as you can see, our catchment is going down, right? At the highest, 734 kids in 2018 lived in our boundaries. Now I think we're in 2023, so 2 falls ago, we were at 610. So that catchment is starting. And I remember when I started in COVID, it was 2020, and we dropped that next year, and we all thought it was COVID, right? It could be part of COVID. It's also, our catchment dropped almost 50 kids. And we're really good at keeping the kids in our catchment to come to here, right? So that's always great. We're at 90-some% that actually come here. So our bread and butter is our catchment, and our catchment is shrinking. So inherently, in order to keep everything, school choice has to grow. Special ed, I always put, oh man, these graphs do not like to show up. Special ed, so this is kind of a sheet that I show. It's more of comparing, right? It's the lack, not to say that we are overspending special ed. It's more of the inequity from Muskegon County to other counties in terms of special ed funding. So the blue box on the top is the non-transportation cost that the general fund pays for mandated special ed services. Again, I'm not saying that special ed is overspending, but the general fund in the budget for 2025, the general fund is going to be paying $903,000 in mandated special ed services. And counties to our south, like Ottawa County, is almost fully funded. So a district like us in Ottawa County, we'd be paying $0 almost. Meaning that would be $903,000 that we would be able to spend on other services, or aka to wipe out the deficit. So it's just kind of looking at it. That's why sometimes it's not as easy to play apples and oranges, or to compare apples to apples when you're talking about other schools outside the counties, because special ed is a big driver in inequities. Looking ahead, so the general revenue conference just came out. Here's kind of the big news is we have projected 550, almost $500 million of ongoing revenue that the state now can figure out what they're going to spend it on. Hopefully, it all comes to us, right? So if I take the ongoing of $500 million of at the balance sheet at the end of the year, divide that by the number of kids that they're counting effective next year, it's a $403 per pupil increase. That'd be awesome, right?
Nice.
That'd be a $381,000, assuming that our enrollment stays the same, and assuming none of that, the not one-time money, so almost a third of $1 billion doesn't come to us. However, there's always a catch, right? There's always a catch. The couple of lame duck bills that didn't pass, there's always some of that stuff that might come. P152, so the amount of money that the employer pays on the behalf of the employee for health insurance, it only went up 0.2%, but the rates all went up 7, 8, 9%. Right? So the employees are bearing a lot more cost of that. There was a bill that died, it's still dead right now from the governor's side, that would increase that cost to us, decrease the cost to the employee. That could come back if they want to give us, hey, we're going to give you all this extra money, but hey, by the way, you're going to have to pay another $100,000 of cost. Or I'm still thinking, ORS still has to figure this out. They always lag behind. More and more people are retiring. Not enough people are coming back to fill those roles. That's why they have all these laws about retirements coming back. That's why it's always great. They're going to make superintendents and other non-affiliate people pain in the butts for their salary contracts just to force them to retire, basically, but there's no one to fill their holes. So the less people, that means less people are paying in, which they're going to start to create an ORS problem, which then inherently they're going to increase the ORS rate, which aka costs the entire district more money. Any questions? I know I bring some good news today. It's like a dream killer. I was trying to put like Darth Vader, like a dream killer or something, but any questions?
More of a comment, Mark, and you touched on it, but I just want to reiterate it. When we started to get the COVID funds, we talked about that roller coaster. That was a good analogy for us, and that's where we're coming out of now. And the reality is that we wanted to try to end the roller coaster ride fairly close to where we started it, and that's what we've done. The thing is that the other reality that's hitting us though is we obviously can't continue negative $400,000 very long. So as we look at next year's budget, we're going to have to look at everything, and we can't continue to live the way we're living right now with those funds being gone. So while we did what we tried to do, and I feel really good about that, now comes some tougher decisions as some grants go away and the dollars with them. So more to come on that, but that was kind of we did what we wanted to, but there's still some work to do. Kind of a comment, and well done to these guys.
We're not the only district that's running this. Most, if not all, districts around are running deficits. It's the COVID money for 4 years that we got, and all of this. Some people had great plans, some people didn't have great plans. I agree with Kurt. I think we had a great plan. We're riding that roller coaster, but it's not like we're the only district that's running into issues.
Some have already started laying off this year because they locked the dollars into people, and they obviously can't fund that anymore. So yeah, many more conversations as we develop next year's budget.
Kurt, I have a question. So we're losing 16 a year. So we're probably
Coming up.
We
lost
okay.
more than that previously.
Okay. So we're actually fighting with a birth rate that's smaller. So we're actually cannibalizing other school districts or, okay.
School choice kids come.
It's exactly what it is.
School choice kids come from somewhere else. Yes. The reality is that there's less kids in the boundaries of North Muskegon public schools. So if we're going to maintain a similar enrollment, that has to come from either school of choice, or we can make other decisions. And, you know, one of the slides showed a class, or a cohort, you know, around, you know, the 55 number or so. Well, that makes it really hard because you can't really do you could do 2 classes, but they'd be bigger classes.
Yeah.
So it forces us to look at the potential of a third teacher. Well, we can't do that very often without crushing our budget because the revenue's not there to help it. So when we talk about school of choice being a bigger factor for us, part of that's going to be, there might be classes where we don't take in kids because we're at a number that we don't want to go 5 more, because then it puts us in, you know,
Yep.
we might have 50. Simple example, we got 50. Well, we might not want to take any school choice kids in that one, because if we take, you know, say 5 or 6, now we're in that might need a third teacher thing, which is a cost problem. So yeah.
I think we're in a school district though that people, school of choice, they want to come here because of the education you get at North Muskegon.
Yep. We've got a good problem on our hands. So.
Okay, my only commentary is I'm never real pleased to be approving a bigger deficit budget than we already approved, but it is the reality of the situation currently. And so, yeah, like Kurt said, we've got to start asking some tougher and tougher questions about going forward and how we eliminate any deficit spending in the future. So with that said, I will entertain a motion to approve the amended budget.
I move to approve the amended budget as outlined in your packet.
Support.
Okay, motion second. Any further questions for Mark or Kurt or finance? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And anybody opposed, please say nay. Okay. Budget is ratified. All right, superintendent contract amendment.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of touched on it earlier, and everybody's seen it. It's not basically. It's my old contract reformatted to hopefully align better with the new ORS guidance. The numbers are the same. It's just formatted differently, and it still, you know, sits on our webpage. And so when this is adjusted, this will go on the webpage. So it's public information. It's the same thing, just reformatted. And then I'll touch on the next topic, which is the evaluation. You guys have all seen that. We just never took action on it, and that really, it's superintendent's evaluation, but impacts all of us because of the new process. And so it moves that training and everything else to next school year. Not that we're not evaluating me this year. It's just not the formal state
required process. I'll make comment when we get there on that also. But let's take approval of the superintendent's contract amendment.
I move that we approve the superintendent contract amendment as presented. Support.
Okay. Do we have to amend every budget
Usually,
individually?
I've always been, usually you do the general fund and like a school special revenue. I wouldn't do 4, I wouldn't do all of them. Usually depends on what the resolution said.
I
Not the roll call.
Budget amendments have to be
Covered
covered.
everything, okay.
Okay, let's back up
Sorry about
to
that.
item 648.
The motion to approve all.
Yes.
I just say make the motion to approve all budget amendments, general fund all the way through.
All right, yeah, I will make a motion to approve all budget amendments as presented.
Still support.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. This is a roll call vote. I'll start with Lisa.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, thank you for clarifying that and us keeping to
Good job.
Robert's rules or
We're back
whoever,
on.
whoever
We're back
decides.
on.
We have to roll call it. All right, back to approval of the superintendent contract amendment. We'll start over. I need a motion on that.
I move that we approve the superintendent contract amendment as presented.
I support.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. All right, the only other thing I wanted to add, everybody has it in their packet about the superintendent evaluation process. Two things Kurt just pointed out. We will still be doing something. It just won't be to the state standards because of his previous two evaluations, we are allowed to skip their requirements this year. One of those requirements are that we all get trained, and this is the goofiest thing, simultaneously by a, what is it called, a rater? A rater reliability training. And so what we suggested in one of our committee meetings is we're gonna see if maybe we could get a person to come to the board retreat for an hour and knock it out at the board retreat this summer. So, but that being said, we still need to take the action that is in your packet, so. Anything further, Kurt?
No, it's the same document, just updated. You received it via email, back several months ago, and then the updated version, recently. And it says exactly what Steve just said. We're following the law, because of my previous evaluations and, doing our own thing this year, and then back on track with the state's, requirements next year, which allows us the time to get everybody trained and, meet all those requirements.
Okay. Take a motion.
I move to approve the superintendent evaluation process as updated in the packet.
Support.
Pick one, anyone. Okay, any further questions? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, that is all. Now we move to board comments. Start with Lisa.
Okay.
And then this Lisa.
We're not going weirdly out of order this time.
It was too much. So no.
Thank you, Mark, for the great presentation. I mean, in-depth presentation. It's not great information, but yes. For breaking that down for us and being so vigilant. I also want to thank and acknowledge the math night that happened at the elementary. The staff and parents had such a great evening. I stopped by and walked through each grade level, and the teachers had really fun math. It was just such a festive atmosphere. It reminded me of like the carnival night that the PTO puts on, and the kids were in each grade in DK through 5th grade playing games with their parents, and parents were asking questions. It was great in the 2nd grade room. The parents were like having a math lesson and learning so much and so engaged, and it was really great to see. So thanks to everybody that participated in that.
I don't have much. Thank you, Mark. You did an all right job, I guess. I know.
I need more laughs.
Gotta keep you down. Yeah.
I'll get more.
And
And speaking as someone who has already gone through the radar reliability training, boy, are you in for a treat this summer, gang. Good times there. Can't wait to do that again. But that's it. I hope everyone's having a good year.
Nothing more other than thank you, Mark, and staff for pulling together that budget amendment, and hopefully the next one will be surplus budgeting, and then we can have more laughs and giggles in those presentations. But
I will try my best.
Jess, thank you for all you do too. That's it.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to hear the finance team, the business management team explain the minutia behind the numbers. But no, that was well done, well presented. I feel confident as a board member that we're getting, the information and the transparency that we in the public should have. Just, on the bright side, we still have a bond that we have a lot of money in that will be spent aggressively. So that's and that's all for the school, right? So I'm looking forward to those continued improvements coming down the pipe. Speak.
I'd like to remind everybody that we're Norsemen and we can and will survive.
Absolutely.
You stole a little of my thunder. I actually have spoken plenty tonight, so all I was going to say is even with a rough budget presentation and some tough decisions that are going to come up, still a great day to be Norseman. So thank you, everybody.
Always
Okay.
is.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.